The peaceful trading station of Kepler 442b received an urgent transmission that would change everything. Captain Reed stood in the communications center, watching the holographic display flicker with an alien message. The signal came from the outer rim territories, where few species dared to venture. The message was simple but terrifying. The gentle Vex people, known throughout the galaxy for their advanced healing technology, were under attack. Their homeworld faced complete destruction from the savage Krell Empire. The Vex had never known war, never built weapons, never prepared for such brutality. "They're asking for help," said Officer Blake, his voice heavy with concern. "The Vex are offering their entire medical database in exchange for protection." Reed studied the tactical reports. The Krell were notorious across the galaxy as unstoppable conquerors. They consumed entire worlds, enslaved populations, and left nothing but death in their wake. Most civilized species avoided them completely. The Galactic Council had already voted. They would not risk their fleets against the Krell. The cost was too high, the odds too slim. The Vex would have to face their fate alone, but humanity was different. Admiral Stone received the report on Earth and called an emergency meeting. The war room filled with military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. They all knew what this meant. Humanity had been seeking acceptance in galactic society for decades. Most alien races saw humans as primitive deathworlders, too violent and unpredictable for civilized company. "The Vix medical technology could save millions of human lives," said Dr. Wells, the chief medical advisor. "Their healing methods are centuries ahead of ours." "That's not why we're doing this," Stone replied firmly. "We're doing this because it's right." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. This would not be a simple rescue mission. The Krell Empire controlled 12 star systems and commanded thousands of warships. Their reputation for cruelty was matched only by their military might. "Sir," said General Hayes, "our intelligence reports show the Krell fleet approaching Vex space. They have at least 200 heavy cruisers and 50 dreadnoughts. Our entire fleet numbers barely half that." Stone smiled grimly. "Then we'll have to be creative." The Admiral activated the holographic display, showing Earth's orbital shipyards. Hundreds of vessels floated in the dark void, from sleek frigates to massive battleships. But these were not ordinary ships. They were built by Deathworlders, designed for the harsh realities of human warfare. "Send word to all colonies," Stone ordered. "Tell them humanity is going to war." The message spread across human space within hours. From the mining colonies of Titan to the agricultural worlds of the Outer Rim, the response was immediate. Every human fleet, every military unit, every armed merchant vessel began moving toward the rally point. The galaxy watched in amazement as the human armada assembled. No single species had ever mobilized so quickly or with such determination. Even the mighty Krell had never seen such coordination. Captain Red prepared his ship for departure, knowing this might be humanity's greatest test. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, checking weapon systems and loading supplies. They all understood the stakes. "Captain," said Officer Blake, "incoming transmission from the Vex homeworld." The alien face that appeared on screen was unlike anything they had seen before. The Vex being had large, gentle eyes and delicate features. Its voice carried desperation mixed with fading hope. "Human vessels," the alien said, "we thank you for your response. But please, turn back. The Krell are too strong. We cannot ask you to die for our cause." Reed stepped forward, his expression serious but determined. "With respect, friend, you didn't ask us to die. You asked us to help. And that's exactly what we're going to do." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in contemplative silence. Outside the viewports, more human ships continued to arrive. Destroyers from Mars, carriers from Europa, even civilian vessels converted for war. The Death Worlder Armada was taking shape. Admiral Stone's flagship, the massive dreadnought Indomitable, took position at the fleet's center. Its weapons could crack a moon. Its armor could withstand a star's heat. But more importantly, it carried something no other species possessed: human determination. As the last ships arrived at the rally point, Stone addressed the entire fleet. His words were broadcast to every vessel, every crew member, every soul preparing for battle. Today, we show the galaxy what it means to be human. We don't fight for glory or conquest. We fight because someone asked for help, and we couldn't say no. The Armada began its journey toward Vex space, carrying with it the hopes of an entire species and the fury of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The Krell fleet moved through space like a plague of locusts, leaving devastation in its wake. High Commander Vrak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive destroyer Death's Shadow, watching his forces prepare for the final assault on the Vex homeworld. The Krell were everything the galaxy feared. Standing over 8 feet tall, with thick armor plating naturally grown into their skin, they had evolved on a world where only the strongest survived. Their society knew only conquest and domination. "Report," Vrak growled to his subordinate. "The outer Vex colonies have been eliminated," replied Captain Thane. 17 worlds have fallen. The survivors are being processed for slave labor. Vrak nodded with satisfaction. The Vex had proven even weaker than expected. Their pacifist nature made them perfect victims. They had no weapons, no military, no understanding of warfare. It would be their final mistake. What of their distress? "Signal?" Vrak asked. "Still broadcasting across all frequencies," Thane reported. "But the Galactic Council has refused to act. No species dares challenge our might." The High Commander studied the tactical display, showing the Vex homeworld ahead. The planet glowed blue and green, beautiful and defenseless. Soon it would be nothing but ash and memories. "Sir," interrupted a communications officer, "we're receiving multiple hyperspace signatures. Something large is approaching from the inner systems." Vrak turned to the main screen. The sensors showed dozens of vessels dropping out of hyperspace. At the system's edge, then dozens more. Within minutes, hundreds of ships had appeared. "Identify those vessels," Vrak ordered. The communications officer worked frantically at his console, his face growing pale. "Sir, they're human ships. A massive fleet approaching at attack speed." A murmur of surprise rippled through the Krell Bridge crew. Humans were known throughout the galaxy, but mostly as curiosities. They came from a dangerous world called Earth, full of predators and natural disasters. Most civilized species considered them primitive barbarians. Humans? Vrak laughed, a sound like grinding metal. The Deathworld savages think they can challenge the Krell Empire? He studied the approaching fleet with interest. The human ships looked different from standard galactic designs. Where most species built elegant, curved vessels, human ships were angular and aggressive. They looked like weapons themselves. "Open a channel," Vrak commanded. "Let's see what these primitives want." The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of a human vessel. A tall man in military uniform stepped forward, his expression cold and determined. This was Admiral Stone, though Vrak didn't know his name. "Krell Fleet," Stone said, his voice carrying across space. "You are ordered to withdraw from Vex territory immediately. Release all prisoners and depart this system." The Krell Bridge erupted in laughter. Even Vrak couldn't contain his amusement. The audacity of these humans was remarkable. "Human," Vrak replied. "I am High Commander Vrak of the Krell Empire. We have conquered 12 star systems and destroyed countless worlds. What makes you think your pathetic fleet can stop us?" Stone's expression didn't change. Because we're not asking you to stop. We're telling you. The transmission ended, leaving the Krell bridge in stunned silence. No species had ever spoken to them with such arrogance. Most civilized races begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. These humans seemed almost eager for battle. Analysis, Brack ordered. The human fleet consists of approximately 400 vessels, reported the tactical officer. They appear to be military ships, but their technology seems primitive compared to ours. Vrack studied the display more carefully. The human formation looked strange. Instead of the defensive patterns most species used, they were arranged in aggressive attack formations. Their ships moved with predatory grace, like hunters, stalking prey. "Sir," said Captain Thane, "perhaps we should be cautious. These humans come from a dangerous world. Their reputation is that of savage barbarians," Vrack interrupted. "They may be fierce, but they lack our technology and experience. We have never lost a battle." The High Commander activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, prepare for combat. We will crush these Deathworld fools and add their skulls to our trophy walls." The Krell fleet began forming battle lines, their massive dreadnoughts taking position at the center. 200 heavy cruisers spread out in attack formation, their weapons charging for the coming battle. But something was different about this engagement. The Krell had fought many species before, but none had ever approached them so boldly. Most civilized races tried to avoid conflict, seeking diplomatic solutions or simply fleeing. Asterisk. The humans were coming straight at them, weapons powered, shields raised. They showed no fear, no hesitation. It was as if they welcomed the violence to come. Vrack felt a strange sensation he had never experienced before. For the first time in his military career, he wondered if the Krell might have underestimated their enemy. The Deathworlders were coming, and they were ready for war. Asterisk space erupted into chaos as the two fleets collided above the Vex homeworld. Admiral Stone watched from the bridge of the Indomitable as the first exchange of fire lit up the darkness like a deadly fireworks display. "All ships, engage at will," Stone commanded. "Show them what Deathworlders can do." The human fleet scattered into dozens of smaller formations, each one moving with deadly precision. This was not how most galactic species fought. Standard doctrine called for large, organized battle lines where superior firepower could be brought to bear. But humans had learned warfare on Earth, where survival meant adapting to any situation. They fought like the predators they were, using speed, cunning, and aggression to overcome larger opponents. Captain Reed's destroyer Resolute dove toward a Krell heavy cruiser, its weapons blazing. The alien ship was twice his size, with thick armor and powerful shields. But Reed had something the Krell didn't expect: experience fighting impossible odds. "Target their weapon systems," Reed ordered. "Hit them fast and keep moving." The Resolute opened fire with everything it had. Human particle beams designed for penetrating asteroid hulls tore through Krell armor like paper. Missile volleys, originally created for destroying space debris, found gaps in alien shield coverage. The Krell cruiser tried to respond, but the human ship was already gone, banking sharply and accelerating away. It was like trying to swat a angry wasp with a hammer. High Commander Vrack watched the battle unfold with growing concern. His fleet was larger and more powerful, but the humans were fighting in ways he had never seen before. They refused to engage in proper formation combat. "Sir," reported Captain Thane, "we're taking heavy casualties. The humans are targeting our weapon systems and engines. They're trying to disable rather than destroy." This confused Vrack even more. Most species in battle tried to obliterate their enemies completely. Why were the humans showing such restraint? The answer came when he saw disabled Krell ships being boarded by human marines. The Death Worlders weren't just fighting a battle. They were conducting a rescue operation. Every Krell ship they captured meant more Vex prisoners could be freed. Clever barbarians, Vrak admitted grudgingly. They're not trying to defeat us. They're trying to save the Vex. But this realization came too late. The human fleet had already adapted to Krell tactics, where the aliens relied on brute force and overwhelming firepower. Humans used coordination and flexibility. Commander Lisa Park led a squadron of fighters in a daring assault on a Krell dreadnought. Her pilots flew their ships through the massive vessel's weapon fire like they were dancing. Each fighter was piloted by someone who had grown up on a world where flying meant dodging hurricanes, asteroid storms, and solar flares. Watch the pattern, Park told her pilots over the comm. These aliens are predictable. They always fire in sequence. The human fighters weaved between energy beams that could vaporize a small moon. They launched their missiles at precise moments, targeting the dreadnoughts. Shield generators. One by one, the alien ship's defenses fell. On the surface of the Vex homeworld, the gentle aliens watched the battle in amazement. They had expected to die today, but instead they were witnessing something unprecedented. Another species risking everything to save them. Elder Tam, the leader of the Vex Council, stood in the Planetary Defense Center with tears in his large eyes. "They came for us," he whispered. "The humans actually came." "But can they win?" asked another council member. "The Krell are so powerful." Their answer came as they watched a human battleship ram directly into a Krell dreadnought. The impact was devastating for both vessels, but the human ship had been evacuated moments before. Its crew had sacrificed their ship to save thousands of Vex lives. This was what the galaxy had never understood about humans. They didn't fight for glory or conquest. They fought because it was the right thing to do, even when it meant terrible sacrifice. Admiral Stone coordinated the battle from his flagship, watching as his fleet systematically dismantled the Krell formation. The aliens were skilled warriors, but they had never faced an enemy like this. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "Krell casualties are at 60%. Their formation is breaking apart." Stone nodded, but his expression remained serious. The battle was far from over. High Commander Vrak still had his most powerful ships intact, and the Krell were known for fighting to the death. "All ships," Stone broadcast, "prepare for Phase 2. It's time to show these bullies what happens when you threaten innocent people." The human fleet regrouped, forming new attack patterns. They had proven they could match the Krell in battle. Now they would prove they could defeat them completely. The Death Worlder Armada was just getting started. High Commander Vrak stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was gone, either destroyed or captured by the relentless human assault. These supposed primitives were fighting with a coordination and ferocity that defied everything. He knew about warfare. "Sir," Captain Thane reported, his voice strained, "the humans have rescued over 50,000 Vex prisoners from our captured ships. They're evacuating them to their medical vessels." This was madness. In all of Vrak's military experience, no species had ever prioritized enemy civilians over their own strategic advantage. The humans could have used those captured ships to strengthen their fleet, but instead they were turning them into rescue vessels. "They fight like no species we've ever encountered," Thane continued. "Our battle computers can't predict their movements. They adapt too quickly." Vrak snarled in frustration. The Krell military doctrine had conquered 12 star systems through superior firepower and ruthless efficiency. But the humans weren't following any recognizable tactical patterns. They fought like wild animals, unpredictable and savage. "Admiral." Stone's voice crackled across the communication channels. "Krell fleet, this is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or face complete destruction." "Never!" Vrak roared back. "The Krell Empire does not retreat." But even as he spoke, Vrak knew his position was desperate. The human fleet had somehow grown larger during the battle. More ships kept arriving from hyperspace, reinforcements from across human territory. These Deathworlders had mobilized their entire civilization for this fight. Captain Reed led his battle group in a devastating attack on the Krell left flank. His destroyers moved like sharks, striking fast and disappearing before the enemy could respond. The Krell ships were powerful, but slow, designed for overwhelming weaker opponents rather than fighting equals. Target their command ship, Reed ordered. Take out their communications and watch their formation collapse. The human attack was surgical in its precision. They had studied Krell tactics during the early phases of the battle, identifying weaknesses in their command structure. When the alien communication hub exploded in a brilliant flash, dozens of Krell ships suddenly found themselves isolated and confused. On the Vex homeworld, the population watched the battle with growing hope. Their most sensitive individuals could feel the emotions of the combatants through the planet's psychic field. The Krell radiated hatred and bloodlust, but the humans were different. They feel protective, Elder Tem explained to his council. The humans are angry, but not at us. They're angry because we're being hurt. This revelation stunned the Vex leadership. They had never encountered a species that would risk everything for strangers. Their own pacifist nature made them gentle and compassionate, but even they wouldn't have charged into battle. Against impossible odds, the tide of battle shifted dramatically when Admiral Stone unleashed humanity's secret weapon, their willingness to sacrifice everything for others. Human ships began ramming Krell vessels in carefully coordinated suicide attacks, their crews evacuating at the last second in escape pods. They're insane, Captain Thane shouted as another human ship exploded. Against their shields. What kind of species destroys their own vessels? Vrak understood now why the galaxy feared Deathworlders. It wasn't just their advanced technology or military skill. It was their complete disregard for their own safety when others were threatened. They fought with the fury of a parent protecting their children. Commander Park's fighter squadron had been reinforced by civilian pilots who had answered humanity's call to war. Cargo haulers, mining ships, and transport vessels had been hastily converted into combat craft. Their pilots had no military training, but they had something more dangerous: human determination. "This is Merchant Captain Joe Miller," came a voice. "Over the comm. My ship isn't much, but I've got a cargo hold full of mining explosives. Requesting permission to ram that big ugly ship." "Permission granted, Captain," Park replied. "Give them hell." The converted freighter accelerated toward a Krell dreadnought, its hull straining under maximum thrust. The explosion, when it hit, was visible from the planet's surface, a brief new star that marked the end of another alien warship. This was what the galaxy had never understood about humans. They came from a world that tried to kill them every day. Hurricanes, earthquakes, predators, diseases, volcanic eruptions. Earth was a constant battle for survival. It had forged them into something unique, a species that thrived on adversity. Commander Vrak made his final decision as his flagship shuddered under human fire. "All remaining ships retreat to the outer system. We'll regroup and—" "Sir," Thane interrupted, "it's too late. They're jamming our hyperspace drives." The humans had thought of everything. They weren't just winning the battle. They were ensuring the Krell couldn't escape to threaten anyone else. The Deathworlder Armada had become an unstoppable force of justice. Asterisk, the final phase of the battle was swift and decisive. High Commander Vrak watched his remaining ships fall one by one to the relentless human assault. The mighty Krell Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, was being dismantled by a species most civilizations considered primitive barbarians. Admiral Stone's voice echoed across all frequencies. "Krell vessels, power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to galactic law. Even in victory, the humans offered mercy. This concept was alien to Vrak, whose people had never shown compassion to defeated enemies. The Krell way was total conquest, or total destruction. "Sir," Captain Thane said quietly, "we have no choice. The fleet is destroyed." Vrak's massive fists clenched in rage and frustration. The High Commander had built his reputation on military dominance, crushing weaker species beneath the Krell boot. Now he faced something unprecedented. An enemy that had proven stronger, yet still offered quarter. "Stand down all weapons," Vrak ordered, the words tasting like poison in his mouth. "Prepare for boarding." Across the battlefield, human Marines began securing Krell vessels. These boarding parties moved with professional efficiency, taking prisoners and freeing the remaining Vex captives. The humans showed no cruelty to their defeated enemies, despite the atrocities the Krell had committed. Captain Reed stood on the bridge of Vrak's flagship, facing the massive alien commander. The Krell High Commander towered over the human, his natural armor scarred from countless battles. But his eyes held something Reed had never seen in a Krell before: respect. "You fought well, human," Vrak admitted grudgingly. "I underestimated your species." "We're not your enemy," Reed replied. "We're the enemy of anyone who hurts innocent people." On the surface of the Vex homeworld, the celebration was unlike anything in galactic history. The gentle aliens had been saved from extinction by beings from across the stars. Human medical ships were already in orbit, offering aid and supplies. Elder Tam met with Admiral Stone in the planetary capital, a city of crystal spires and flowing gardens. The Vex leader's large eyes were bright with gratitude and wonder. "How can we ever repay this debt?" Tam asked. "You risked everything for us, yet we had nothing to offer but our medical knowledge." Stone smiled, expression that transformed his stern features. "You don't owe us anything. We did what any decent species would do." But the elder shook his head. "No, Admiral. We have contacted other civilizations, and none would help us. Only humanity answered our call." The aftermath of the battle sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Council, which had voted against helping the Vex, found themselves facing uncomfortable questions. How had a single species accomplished what their combined fleets wouldn't even attempt? The answer came in the form of countless transmissions from across human space. Messages from Earth, Mars, the Titan colonies, and dozens of other worlds. All carried the same theme. Humans didn't calculate the odds when someone needed help. Doctor Wells worked alongside Vex healers in the temporary medical stations, marveling at their advanced techniques. The alien doctors could regrow limbs, cure genetic diseases, and repair damage that human medicine considered hopeless. "Your people are remarkable," one Vex healer told Wells. "But your healing methods are ... aggressive, like your warfare." Wells chuckled. "We come from a dangerous world. Everything we do has to be aggressive just to survive." The integration of human and Vex medical knowledge would revolutionize healthcare across the galaxy. But more importantly, it marked the beginning of a new alliance between two very different species. As the human fleet prepared to depart, leaving behind a garrison to protect Vex space, Admiral Stone received an unexpected transmission. It came from the Galactic Council chambers, where representatives from hundreds of species were gathered. "Admiral Stone," said Council Speaker Erix, her tentacles writhing with nervous energy, "the Council would like to offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Federation." Stone considered this carefully. Humanity had sought recognition for decades, facing discrimination and fear from other species. Now, after proving their worth in battle, they were finally being accepted. "We appreciate the offer," Stone replied. "But we have conditions." The council chamber fell silent. No species had ever negotiated terms for membership. The Vex must be granted full protection under galactic law, Stone continued. And the Krell prisoners will be tried for their war crimes, with rehabilitation rather than execution. Speaker Eric's was stunned. Even in victory, the humans thought of others first. The vote was unanimous. Humanity joined the Galactic Federation, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The Deathworlders had proven that sometimes the most dangerous species could also be the most compassionate. Across the galaxy, civilizations learned a new truth. When innocents called for help, humanity would always answer. Asterisk.